What's going on, guys? It's Adam. I'm back doing another assignment. This one's about building relationships between students and teachers. Um, so we'll just jump right in. Why is it important to build trust between a student and a teacher? I think it's the same thing as building relationships between adults and children. Students are vulnerable and they need that kind of guidance to make sure that whatever happens next that you have the answers for. Sometimes you don't. That's the worst part about everything. Being an adult doesn't mean you have answers, but kids look up to you. So like being a parent is just as bad as being a teacher, I think, because you're expected to have the answers when you're still learning too. um, so building trust. How do you build trust? Honesty. I joined the Marine Corps in 2006, and I walked into the recruiter and said, "Don't lie to me. I'm gonna sign. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Just don't lie to me." And every time he would go on, you could be like, "Hey, that sounds like a lie," and I'd call him out, and he'd kind of smile and be like, it's ingrained. It's kind of what we do. We have to tell you this big elaborate thing and hope that 40% of it is true. Um, that's not a good statistic to build trust, I think. Something's going to be bad. Tell them it's going to be bad. I know it kind of takes away from what they're trying to do. Um, they want to go into a certain field. I always tell people going into the Marine Corps doesn't mean you're going to come out of the Marine Corps. But again, if you're going to make that decision on something you want to do, I think you should know the bad parts about it, just as much as knowing the good parts. Obviously, I made it. There's a lot of great things that happened in the Marine Corps, but there was a lot of bad things. I think that happens between a student and a teacher. If you're going to a certain field, like I have a bachelor's in digital film, it's very tough business. They kind of painted how hard and easy it's going to be. There's a lot more hard than easy. That's why you have to ask the questions, and I think that's important for the student to ask that type of question, because I don't think a teacher is just going to come out and be like, "Hey, it's going to be terrible." So what's best practices of building relationships? As I said, honesty. Just be honest with people. Um, Treat people with respect. I'm very religious, and I think that's a big part about who I am. So being a Christian and being able to tell people, hey, um, there's good and there's bad and there's right and there's wrong. A lot of people do what's wrong to get ahead in life. It's not who I am. That's not what I'm gonna do. But I can only give you the guidance that I have. Um, and that rolls right into other people's views. It's one of those touchy subjects. But how would you explain and address a student's viewpoint? Same way you do a kid's viewpoint. You don't have to tell them they're wrong. That's I think the best part about being a teacher is you get to hear multiple viewpoints. My favorite word in life, and I say that with a lot of sarcasm, is perception. Um, I could tell you that the door behind me is closed, and you can tell me it's ajar, that it's open. Um, but just by looking at it, does it look open or closed? Um, and that's the hard part. Is I can tell you it's closed. I could push on it, and you can tell me, well, if I put a little bit more force, that it would open. Um, but don't always tell them they're wrong. Hear them out. Actually, listen to your students, because if I put enough force in that door, yeah, it could be open. It's not. It is closed. But again, hear them out. I often hear myself telling my kids, no, that's not right, without actually hearing their point of view. Because again, that's the difference in life is I could read something and you could hear entirely two different sentences all in the same sentence. It's just based on wording or based on something very small, but it's still a viewpoint and it's still something that they believe. So why would you destroy that before even letting it grow into something that could be amazing? Um, and I think that's how I'm going to address viewpoints is listen to them because they could have a great viewpoint. It could be something entirely different than what mine is. That doesn't make it wrong. Um, there's a lot of movies on that. There's one in particular, I think it's called God's Not Dead, and the whole thing is about viewpoints about Christianity, and it is incredible. The movie itself's a little bad. The message is amazing. I only say that because I'm a film major and I watch movies very differently than normal people. But again, my viewpoint, not yours. See how that works? And it goes into adult learning. But it's the same thing. It's viewpoints. Everybody has different tendencies. So adult learning, I feel it's the same thing as kid learning, but only with a twist. Because the older you get, the more opinionated you are. Just look around every article in the world. It's somebody's upset with somebody, and somebody said this, and that's not factual. But again, stay away from all that and just stay on point. Um, that's going to get you so many places. Is we don't need to argue, we don't need to fight, and I think a lot of people are trained that way. And I think same thing with adults is we're so opinionated in how I'm an adult now, and I can say what I want and do what I want. But it's not how you build relationships. Um, Relationships, viewpoints, opinions is all about teamwork. Because you can have an opinion, but if you don't say it to anybody, do you really have an opinion? You have a thought. But that's where the communication comes in. And I think gaining trust and doing all that is listening to each other. That's the one thing I think we tend to forget is you don't have to be right to be heard. And it's everywhere right now. And I feel like the more that's a thing, the more people tend to focus on just the negativity instead of the bad part. And we're all in this together. We're all trying to learn. We're all trying to teach. Some people try to teach before they learn. Um, so be careful who you listen to, and don't be afraid to listen to the people that you've never met before. Because I could meet you at a grocery store, and all I'm trying to teach you is, I have an example. I'm going to forget what I just said. I used to work at a grocery store. And one morning, I was outside grilling. And a lady walked up. And I said, "Hey, good morning." And she said, "I'm a vegetarian." I said, "Okay, well, it doesn't stop you from having a good morning. So good morning." She said it again. "I'm a vegetarian." Looked at me, scoffed, and walked inside. I didn't try to sell her anything. Not one thing. Yes, I was grilling ribs, and regardless if she's a vegetarian, that's her right, whatever. I still say good morning. I was still trying to have that connection between somebody, and I think that's going to get a lot farther than if I would have said, "Hey, buy my ribs." I said good morning. And I think so many people are afraid to have interactions with people. And yes, mind you, this was before COVID. But it was still a weird reaction. I've never had someone I've never said to somebody when they say good morning to say something else. "Well, I have brown hair." It doesn't stop me from having a good morning. Remember that. So, like, when your teachers try to teach you stuff, when students try to learn, students have opinions. Just good morning. Just enjoy the day. Enjoy what we have. Enjoy each other. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. This is a 10-minute video. It was only supposed to be 5. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff we can learn. We could talk about this forever. So have a great day. Good morning, good evening, good night.